What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today, we're going to do a little bit of market analysis because I strongly believe that out there, looking at the way we all have our perspectives about where Microsoft's games and, PlayStation's games are, it's very important that we take a lot into account. I was on Twitter a few seconds ago, and I saw something that really surprised me from Colin Moriarty. Now, I don't know this individual. A lot of you have pointed out to some of the stuff that he's actually put out here. But he got a question from one of his audience members on a live stream, and he gave an answer that I thought was pretty fantastic.
You can never write anything.
There's so much, and sorry about that it played just now, that has not necessarily been pointed to in his response. I want us to go ahead and kind of listen to the response in, the short context that it is in. And I'm going to give my thoughts as he's actually answering the question. Okay, so the question was, with PlayStation 6 related reporting circulating, a listener inquired how Sony may calibrate itself to compete with Xbox next gen. And his answer, it's doubtful Sony continues to maintain focus on a competitor that has done such a continuously poor job of meaningfully showing up. So already Colin is concluding that Xbox has not shown up in this particular generation. Now, based on the data, the evidence, and even Sony's own reporting, I cannot see his conclusion as anything more than him pretty much juxtaposing his preference on the response that he gave. But let's listen anyways, because I think it's going to be educational in the grand scheme of things.
You can never write anything off. It just seems like it's done for the Xbox brand as a competition for PlayStation. Will it exist in its own niche? Yes. Could it be that PlayStation will turn into its own smaller and smaller niche? I suppose so. But I just think that the die is kind of cast here. I don't understand how they come back. And I would love for someone to map it out. They are so far behind their own internal metrics, and we know it from the FTC leaks. That we saw what they expected to be at all these different times to justify everything they were doing, and they're nowhere near it.
All right. So, Colin, you said you would like for somebody to map it. Hold my carbonated water. Now, for Colin to say that Xbox has not shown up this generation is quite interesting, because we know that after they acquired Activision, we got another leak. Like Colin did cite the leaks from the FTC and some of their internal metrics. These metrics were projections more than anything. However, when PlayStation did its own threat analysis, it did not have this same conclusion that Colin came up with. If anything, the major game changer that they kept citing in these threat analyses that leaked when Insomniac got hacked was that Call of Duty was providing them a threat around 2027. The acquisition of Activision was also one of the major threat areas. So for Colin to conclude that Xbox did not show up and asking for someone to map it while not considering this particular analysis from PlayStation themselves, again, like I said, seems like he juxtaposed his preference on the response that he gave to the user. So let's go ahead and see how PlayStation sees Xbox after the acquisition of Activision, because pre-Activision, I think maybe there might have been a whole difference in terms of their analysis. We don't have any documents to that. However, as the acquisition came into perspective, they said this: Microsoft's acquisition of Activision positions it to leapfrog our current pillars. Activision provides incredible strategic value across live service games, scale in mobile, and PC storefront with Battle.net. For the last few weeks, ladies and gentlemen, you remember that I've been making a lot of these videos telling you that, hey guys, PlayStation is behind on live service offerings and even in content, frequency. And you guys know that every time I say that, you'll see a PlayStation player come out here and say, this was one of the more mental gymnastics, blah, blah, blah. You're being loyal to the company, when all I'm citing is information that PlayStation actually concluded. Like, I'm not here giving you any news that is not already, for the most part, concluded by even PlayStation themselves and other analysts. So internally, PlayStation is saying we have a competitor right now that pretty much is positioned to leapfrog us in terms of where we are. Dude, competition means we're neck and neck. Leapfrogging means we're behind. That's literally what PlayStation is saying here. Because with the live service offerings, PlayStation's in the dust compared to Xbox. There's no doubt about that. They're saying it right here. In mobile, PlayStation's in the dust compared to Xbox because Activision Blizzard King is already a thing. On the PC storefront, they're in the dust because Xbox has a PC storefront and PlayStation doesn't. I made a video saying PlayStation needs a PC launcher. Do y'all remember that? And then in addition, Microsoft is bundling a mobile gaming store to compete with Apple and Google. Hence, they've left us alone. They're now aiming for another competitive market. So maybe, like I said, Colin was probably not considering, these areas and these aspects, but let's continue to look so we can actually, in quote, map it out. Industry major shifts and threats. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. It says the Call of Duty threat in 2027. Microsoft's acquisition for Activision for $69 billion could disrupt and threaten the console gaming and game subscription markets. Consoles shift from PlayStation to Xbox with timing and an in-game differential as the weapons. So basically, a lot of the benefits that PlayStation had enjoyed, being able to money hat third-party, benefits for the Call of Duty games, is no longer there. PlayStation and their internal analysis, and this is an article written by Jess Corden, are saying that these may cause people to shift to Xbox, and then the subscription, Microsoft's comprehensive ecosystem coupled with exclusivity creates greater dominance. Sony impact, massive threat to PS Plus, upwards of $1.5 billion of annual revenue threat gap to fill. 45 million subs times $12 monthly times $12 times 20% multiplayer third party. Wow. The day and date threat. I've not even gotten far, and you're already seeing that this document in 2023 basically lays out from PlayStation's perspective what they think about this so-called non-competitor that showed up. If I keep going, it's going to make the video go at great length. Perhaps I need to, because I think that's what we need to do here. Post-acquisition, Microsoft will put Activision games on Game Pass day and date. This is a day and date threat. And it's no longer a threat. It's a reality that PlayStation was afraid of that is now going to happen. I thought at first they knew, actually. In fact, they knew, there was no doubt about it. In fact, they were actually projecting to see what was going to happen. And then leapfrog. Activision provides incredible strategic value across live service games, scale in mobile, and PC storefront. Microsoft can supply multi-game subscription, 50% for console games, 50% for PC. Subscription for 50%, console games 50%, and PC 60%. It's a three-pronged approach that actually Microsoft has access to that PlayStation doesn't have access to. They can put their games as quick as possible on other platforms or other media that actually gives them a really strong competitive value. No longer are they bound to that box anymore. Even PlayStation sees this as a strength for Microsoft and Xbox, and I've had to sit here and convince Xbox fans, like, shut up, leave the consoles alone. They're still going to make you consoles, but it's not their focus because they've realized that they can lean in on other possibilities in order for them to be able to make more money. And not just make more money, but actually blaze past their longtime competitor in this space. Sony's pillars, according to them, are already dated and behind the competition. The impact, Sony needs to expand. Where does Sony need to expand to? To the exact same areas that Microsoft already has them beat. It's very simple. I don't see how Colin came up with these conclusions. And this is just halfway through the 1 minute and 16-second clip. And I haven't watched the podcast. I'm sorry, but this is all I have. And so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of point it out because he said, I would like for someone to go ahead and map it out for me. So here's the map, sir. Let's keep listening, though, because I think this is going to be interesting at the end of the day.
So I just think the embrace of third-party publishing is going to become a big thing, and they'll have some sort of standard console and handheld experience, and I think people will enjoy it, and they'll sell tens of millions of units. But I don't think that they're a competitor for PlayStation anymore, and I don't think PlayStation's particularly worried.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to lie. Okay. I'm gonna behave myself. I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna lie. That was a little funny. At first, having read all this, and this is just I hope y'all know that this is just a piece of the leaks. There are way more documents that showed strategies on how they can actually try to come back, seeing that PlayStation themselves didn't have enough money to be able to provide such value across the board. In these leaks that came out, this is just 2 slides, like 1.5 slide that I'm showing you. There were documents upon documents and slides upon slides with charts upon charts on what they planned on doing to actually get this expansion in place. So the next part of this whole thing that we're going to look at is the elusive game subscription. This is Game Pass. Elusive perfect game subscription. It says premium content, expectation of free, best-in-class games creates unsustainable model. Monthly and incremental subs won't cover investment. Well, you will. That's why Xbox is bringing some of its games to PlayStation, because PlayStation, in its big, huge number of hardware owners who are interested in playing Xbox games, will be the makeup for it. Because yes, Colin was right. Some internal metrics, which I say are projections, were not met. But as those internal metrics were not met, Xbox has looked and said, it appears that we're probably not going to go ahead and do all the full-scale exclusivity. If we need it, we will go multi-plat with certain games. Like an article that came out recently. And that's something that PlayStation probably did not envision here. It's not here. Like bringing their games to the PlayStation platform, they didn't even see that one coming. Okay, so monthly and increment. So it says unified mobile PC console experience doesn't exist. Form factor and computer power are too diverse. Sony Impact premium sales model is a central approach. This is where the price of your PlayStation 5 Pro came from, folks. Some of you have tried to deny this document over the months I've been sharing it. They've gone full Apple on you when they said it right there, and you said to me I was crazy. You said to me that this document is old. You said to me that I was an Xbox fanboy. I was showing you, like, guys, look at this is the game right here. They're doing everything, and y'all you were making fun of me because I have 10,000 subscribers. Like, subscribers mean anything. Well, not to me, they don't. I mean, out of respect for my subscribers anyways, I started this channel, so I guess my subscribers mean a lot to me, and I take them, I take their, suggestions, and I respect them. But maybe you guys don't realize that we have everything sitting in our lap like this. Like it's freely, somehow, unfortunately, the circumstances that we got this information, there's no mystery anymore to all of this. It's quite obvious. It's quite obvious. We're going to go ahead and listen to the rest of what Colin says. And I think at this point, I probably maybe made the case, I guess, mapped it out. I don't know.
That their major competitor is publishing games on their platform, and which is one of the greatest capitulations.
Who said they're satisfied? They didn't see it coming in their analyses. I don't think they actually envisioned that we're going to be getting them published games on our platform. In fact, if anything, if you say that it's a capitulation, they say it was a threat, because this game was already being published on their platform in the midst of the acquisition. I wouldn't call that. How is he interpreting this as a capitulation? How is that being interpreted as I'm confused. I don't understand. Am I missing something, guys? Am I crazy?
When Sega was putting games onto Dreamcast, or I'm sorry, when Sega was putting games on the GameCube, rather, after the Dreamcast era, it was not, an Xbox, of course, it was not a good sign for their hardware. It meant their hardware was fucking dead.
Well, Sega is not Xbox. Sega did not have Call of Duty. Sega was not making PlayStation shiver to its boots because its biggest moneymaker was crossing the pond. With Concord failing, I can tell you that the analysts are probably still going, we need to get something out there. We need to expand. And the premium model that you're seeing, the premium sales model right here, is basically them selling you bougie console that is underpowered compared to the amount of hardware you can buy for the same price in the market, in order for them to be able to find a way to make and earn more money. Guys, if you don't have a good dose of objectivity and looking at the data very well, you could misinterpret what is going on in the industry. This is not to say that Xbox is flying, already flying high. No, 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 no. This is to say that they are actually on the heels, if not have already leapfrogged. In some areas, they're on the heels of PlayStation. In some areas, they've already left PlayStation in the dust. PlayStation even knows this. To deny this or to not acknowledge this does not help the conversation. People are misunderstood. People are watching a lot of stuff on the internet and are not getting, exposed to a lot of this information. I think, again, and I feel bad. Someone said to me, the old school Xbox is not doing A, B, C, D, and E, and so a lot of the press has these perceptions about them. And I say, perhaps the press is waiting on an Xbox or going back to look for an Xbox that doesn't exist anymore. That's the Xbox that failed. The new Xbox is a Xbox that is positioned to win and take on not just its direct competitor, which was Sony, but is now looking for a different competitive market. I cannot stress enough how important this all is, man. And I could continue. I could literally continue showing you how the Call of Duty threats, the Minecraft, positioning, and all those games that PlayStation players already love to play that Microsoft acquired in the middle of basically, them being very popular on PlayStation is so beneficial for them. There's no way they could have run away from third-party lineups. And even PlayStation even became a third-party developer and has been sending games to Steam left and right. I digress. I would look at let me just continue, man, because I was going to go away. Because in the same vein, I saw Astro Cyborg, and I was going to use this for a different video. Astro Cyborg, shout out to you, man. He put a picture of two pro PlayStation, creators, one on both on Twitter, and both of them said wild. One of them said wild, Sony Interactive Entertainment, basically seeing the Sony Interactive Entertainment game on a different console. And then the second picture saying the classic Sony Interactive Entertainment logo on the Switch box art. Something that they didn't envision, basically them publishing their games on a different console. Imagine that. I don't know when this decision was made, but I call it a copycat. I mean, I don't know what else you would call it. But what's crazy is one of these same creators who actually found this wild came here and was actually saying something on the comment section about Xbox. See, ladies and gentlemen, if you continue to think this without looking at what is going on in the industry and continue with the current narrative, you'll miss out on a lot. And that's all that just to say. Pay very close attention. Pay attention to what people are saying. Pay attention to what the companies are saying. Pay attention to where the revenue is going. Pay attention to where they stand in the market. It will help you very much. Thanks for watching the video. Peace out.